Sales calls. To be super clear, if you want to make the most money in the fastest possible amount of time, it's all about the money and it's all about getting it as quick as possible. The fastest way, and I've said this over and over again, is to sell a high-priced, high-margin, probably coaching, mentorship, or services offer on a sales call and take credit cards over the telephone. As that is, without a doubt, the fastest way. The way I know that is I built 3 businesses doing that, and all of them reached $1 million in increasingly shorter time periods by doing that and getting better at it. And personally, I've done 1,500 sales calls. And so I'm relatively qualified to say why I don't do them anymore. And there's 2 reasons why I don't do sales calls. The first one is purely the value of time. On a sales call, you give someone some insight about not only the offer you're going to make and understanding where they are, you naturally give them some insight and doing it. So it has a lot of value in it. In my business, I earn on any given month between $3,000 and $5,000 an hour in terms of my delivery. And that's not like directly charging for that. Some people pay that directly, but in group programs, group mentorship, etc., that is essentially what my effective hourly rate is for the time I spend with clients and also the time I spend building assets, etc. So it wouldn't make financial sense for me to get on a sales call with someone, give them my time, which has both a direct tangible value, but also an indirect value in terms of if I'm on a sales call, I'm not building a training, I'm not building an asset, I'm not helping someone work on their life and their business. So it's just a pure value equation. And again, in the course of helping people build solo businesses, I'm not prepared to hire setters and closers because I'm not prepared to manage them because I don't want to spend my time doing that. The second piece is kind of more subjective, which is in the course of offering sales calls to people, what you end up doing, and especially the perversity is the better you get at it, the better you get at this, is that you end up closing people on things that they wouldn't have done otherwise. And you end up signing up, both you and the person, into things that people might not be ready for. And you see this with a lot of offers where they've got very, very skilled closers where, they're probably selling to people with relatively low financial means and getting huge proportions of their income out of them. And those things, going wrong later because the people don't get the results or they're under financial hardship and duress, etc. And that's not to talk about the ethics of sales, of who you're selling to and those. There's lots of variables there. But it's the pure, in the course of selling something on someone, you can say stuff that gets that person in a high emotional state at that time to do things that they maybe weren't going to do before and maybe aren't ultimately ready for, both on an emotional, maybe on a financial and also a practical level, in order to get the sale. Because if you get on a sales call, that's what you're there to do, to get the sale. And so you end up selling to a decent number of people who maybe you shouldn't sell to. And in the course of not doing sales calls, I only sell to people who have come to the point where they're ready. They've bought books from me, they've bought products from me, they've gone through my trainings, they've got a sense, they've watched my content, they've got a sense of who I am, what I do, where they are, and they make that right decision. So there is zero pressure in any of those, and actually there's the opposite in most of my selling, if you like it is. It's like making sure they are ready and that there's a commitment to the thing we're doing together to ensure that we get the highest level of results. So the nature of sales calls being extremely effective means that their effectiveness can also lead to outcomes. While good in the short term, you get a sale, might be counterproductive in the long term because you end up selling to people that can have a direct impact on you, direct impact on, if you coach and deliver in communities, direct impact on the community as well because you're letting in people that maybe you shouldn't let in, and a direct impact on the person because you might be getting them to do something that is well beyond their means and their capacity and their capability right now. And sales calls are so damn effective that that is a common outcome. And as with most things, it's the discernment of where you are and what you want to do. If I was all about the money and I was trying to build the fastest business possible, I would get a brand new offer, I'd sell it on sales calls first, then I'd hire setters and closers to do it. That's the way to scale to $1 million a month as quick as you possibly can. And you could, if I did that tomorrow, I could do it in under a year. And that is not my priority because I'm running a solo business where I'm the primary person on delivery. I very carefully curate who comes close to me and who comes into my world and who gets access to me on Zoom and WhatsApp and the various communication methods I use with my clients, and who comes to my house as well. They're all important kind of pieces. So I am not in the breakneck speed piece. I'm going in for high profit, low stress, ease, and ultimately who comes in matters a lot more than their ability to be able to pay, and that ultimately they're the right person with the right philosophy and I'm actually useful to them. So sales calls are awesome until they're not. And I think for most people, they're a great tool, they're a great utility to get a conversion and get a sale. And if you've got something new or you're launching a new offer on the market, they're wonderful. If you're burnt out on them and you're done with them, you probably recognize a lot of the things that I've said today, and the conversion from something that you're selling onto the phone to something that you can sell remotely via a sales page or a Google Doc or some kind of written offer is relatively straightforward because you're just unpicking the funnel that you've got now and putting it in a different format. So many offers that are currently sold on sales calls do very well when they're converted into an environment. When you remove sales calls, there's a 3-step process to do it in a progressive way where you don't actually suffer from lower conversions. You actually improve conversions and you get a better quality of client while not having to have the sales calls or the team, etc. So I've never said the word sales calls so many times in one singular video. So I'm going to end it there, and I'll see you on the next one.